What up, YouTube? Let's do this little podcast thing. So many buttons. Why am I so tired this week? Even hitting the buttons seems tiring. Why can't I hear that right now? Can you hear that?
No. Is music playing?
Should be.
Is it on the air?
No.
Yeah,
Why can't we hear that?
I don't know.
Wait.
Is it on the air? Why should it be on the air right now? That'd be so bad.
I don't know what's happening. Hot 4. Maybe this is it. Hang on.
There it is.
There's too many buttons in this world. There's too many buttons in this world. Sometimes we complain about our jobs, and I'm like, bro, you know how many people have like real ass jobs?
Yeah. Garage Boy's building parts for the military right now.
Yeah. And like
what?
Super strict, I'm sure. Have to be there a certain time, leave a certain time. You know, it's a real job. I'm over here like, I can't figure the buttons out. Somebody needs to get fired.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 66 of Kramer and Jess, Uncensored. Woo! In case you're new to our podcast, you want to explain how this works, Jess, what they were getting themselves into?
Yes, the podcast is like close friends, so it's just for the squad. It's like gathering around with your friends, having a glass of wine, not for the kids. Very uncensored.
We also do this show live on YouTube Wednesday mornings at about 11-ish. We just say 11-ish. Most shows be right on time, but you know we roll.
Not us. We can't commit.
Adventurer JoJo's checking in this morning on the YouTube show. It's good to see you. Thank you for doing that. If you ever want to get that link, you can just go to kramerandjess.com and check in. And you can kind of interact with the show. It's a good way for us to interact with each other.
Yeah.
Over there. I think I want to start today with Joseph's description of our podcast. So Joseph is one of our listeners from Baltimore, and he just started listening to our podcast, and we've never met Joseph before.
A very loyal listener to the show, but the first time that he's ever kind of, explored the podcast itself. Yeah.
And again, I don't know what he looks like. I don't know what he acts like. I have no idea. But to me, Joseph is a very chill guy.
Yeah.
He's very just
straightforward, to the point kind of person.
No, a no nonsense kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you the edited version of what he said.
Edited version?
Yes, I can't go back and I can, but it'll just be a little messy.
No, that's so much. Yeah.
Hang on, let me see if I can take out. Did you know, by the way, Tom doesn't want us to say asshole on the air?
You bleeped it out, though.
I did, because I got scared. He didn't respond in time, so I just...
But he said no, right?
He said, don't say asshole. I was like, what?
I didn't...
pansy show we were on.
No, I didn't think we were allowed to say asshole on the air.
You can, like, I can call you an asshole.
You can call someone an asshole.
But I can't say, show me your asshole.
Well,
you see the difference?
I've honestly, other than ass every once in a while, I wouldn't even. Remember someone said bitching rights today, and not even I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. You freaked out about it?
Yeah, no, because I feel like we're not allowed to. Ass every once in a while, like sit my ass down, like at like 6:07 in the morning. I feel safe, but after that, not gonna play with fire. I'm not gonna play with fire.
So here goes. This is gonna be. I didn't really edit this down. So this is Joseph, one of our favorite listeners, talking about his description of this podcast. It's someone that just came over from the radio show, didn't know us from like California or anything.
Evas, like how different are we on the podcast compared to how we are on the show?
So here's the thing, like, my background as far as, like, work has always usually been sales because I'm a pretty good judge of character and I'm, like, a people person, so I'm pretty good at gauging people.
Yeah.
So, I pretty much, like, knew you guys were – of course you work on radio, so you have to censor yourself.
Knew we were holding back.
But I could tell one Kramer, you're like me. You're an asshole. You're
Am I more of an asshole? You think I'm more of an asshole over on the podcast?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Like, but even on radio, you can tell. Like, you're. I'm not saying in a necessarily a bad way.
No, there's good assholes out there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and then Jess, it's like on the radio, I guess this is the angle you guys are going for, but like, you make yourself out to be like this emotional baby, soft. And then you get on the Uncensored podcast, and Jess is like, "Go fuck yourself."
It's because y'all are seeing the real Jess. Yeah. Sometimes I look over, I'm like, "Who's this really nice girl today?" Because I don't know this woman.
Yeah.
I don't know her. Okay.
You know, to that point, I am a very emotional person, but that's just a part of who I'm allowed to share. If I mean, if I could actually just say whatever the hell I wanted to say, I would.
Why do you think
I can't?
Why do you think you can't say what you want to say?
Well, no, it's a balance, because if I could talk the way I always wanted to talk, it would sound like the Uncensored podcast 100% of the time.
Yeah.
But I can't, because we're not allowed to. Right. Because the radio show is censored.
Right.
And also I remember one of the first times, like, we had like a meeting or something, and it's gradual, like introducing yourself to new audiences. Obviously it's different if you've been listening to us either together for a long time or individually a long time, like, you know who we are and where we're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, and like one of the things that really annoyed the shit out of me was like I like gave my opinion on something, and I remember
you shouldn't do that.
And I remember our boss was like, what, in like a nice way, basically telling me not to sound too bitchy. And like,
what was it about?
I forget what it was, but it was like in the beginning, and I was like, if I'm gonna be pissed, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
But I will be aware of how I'm coming across, because that's what I have to do. Since
no, you know, but I want more of that. I want more bitchy.
No, but it's not. But that's the thing. It's not bitchy though. I think that's what pisses me off. It's not bitchy. I'm allowed to like say whatever the fuck I want to say, and it doesn't make me a bitch. It just means like I'm mad or happy or however I'm feeling. And it's just finding a balance, and it's different for women. I think women have a harder time because it's easier for guys to, like, you know, the Howard Sterns and the whatever. But as a woman, then
By the
you're
way,
like,
I don't compare myself to Howard Stern.
No, I'm not. I didn't just compare you to Howard Stern. I'm saying as Howard Stern, like that. Those the Howard Sterns of the world get to be the Howard Sterns of the world.
And you're saying if it was a woman,
and women are like, you're a bitch,
Mm-hmm.
like you're, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like finding the balance, because I am definitely showcasing that more, but it's like, how much can the audience handle until they trust us enough?
Right,
you know what I mean? We talked
right.
about that.
So they know that you're a bitch.
I'm not a bitch. I'm not a bitch.
Yeah, we all have our bitchy moments. Jessica, we all have our bitchy moments.
I'm
You're
not
not
a
a bitch
bitch.
sometimes. You're not a bitch sometimes, ever.
Yeah.
Never a bitch.
No, don't call me a bitch. That's what I'm saying. I'm not a bitch, and I think that's what I don't like. Like, I feel like
am I an asshole?
It annoys me that like that I have to be aware, but I understand it's the process.
So am I an asshole or no? Because Joseph said he listens to this and he thinks that I sound and listens to the radio show and thinks that I'm an asshole. Do you think I'm an asshole?
When you want to be, when you're playing the character,
mm-hmm.
I think that's what's frustrating. Like, you get to play the character, but the woman is just like, it's not a character. Like, oh, you're a bitch.
No, I don't think anyone's saying that. I want you to try to get that idea out of your head.
It's not an idea. It's things that people have said to me, or reactions that I've gotten, or things that I've seen. It's not some idea that was put into my head. The idea that's been put into my head is having to gradually allow and like share and find that balance of what people understand and what they're used to as well.
Yeah,
because I also understand,
tough because,
like, the kind of friend, even you and I have had conversations on how, if like I'm blunt and honest, you don't respond that well. But that's how I was raised, and that's how my friendships are with my friends back home. We're like straight 100% of the time. It doesn't matter, and it's not even like coming from a mean bitchiness. It's like tough love. But it's like gauging on, you know, if you're never exposed to that, then I am a bitch. But if like people back home, they're like, oh, she's keeping it 100. It's the difference of what you know and what you're used to.
So you think coming from the other radio show, they may not have had that much openness.
The show was so different too. Like all the things we were doing and the topics that we had. Like where we are now, I'm really happy where we are now, but we weren't able to go 0 to 100. You know what I mean?
Let me play a voicemail. We got...
Hey, Kramer and Jess. This is Amy. I'm calling from Pennsylvania. Listen, I'm calling in about the wedding situation. Jess, been there. Only friend that moved out of town. I was in Georgia, grew up in Pennsylvania. I had 3 weddings in 1 year, plus wanted to see my family. I was on my own, couldn't afford it. Believe me, I get it. But this is me a very unpopular opinion. Why don't you not have Garage Boy go to Hawaii and use those miles towards one of your trips home? Won't pay for the whole thing, but it'll take a big chunk out of it.
Okay.
Ooh.
So, in case you weren't here last episode, Jess was talking about how she's got 3 events that she needs to be back in Stockton for in Q4 of this year, right? There's 2 weddings and then the holidays.
Q4, does that just mean end of the year?
Yeah, the fourth quarter.
I was like, what?
The fourth quarter.
Like,
what do you mean to say? The
at the end of the
last
year,
3 months?
At
like
the
what?
end of the year, like a normal year.
Did anyone on YouTube understand when I said Q4?
No, personally, I did. That's why I wanted to clarify. I didn't know what that meant. I was just asking for my own personal knowledge.
Was that normal talk? Because somebody tell me if that's normal talk. When I say Q4, do you understand I'm saying the last 3 months of the year?
That's fine.
Okay, so you've got to be in California for 3. You've been invited to 3 things.
Yeah.
2 weddings.
And my heart wants to be at all 3 occasions.
Yes. And we were talking about how like that's just super expensive. How you just can't keep flying back. So these weddings are like within weeks of each other, and then of course the holidays. And we pretty much decided as a group the holidays. That's it.
No,
like,
the Christmas is 100%. We missed Christmas with my family last year. My grandmother's been calling me. She's been crying. Like there's no even like wiggle room there. Christmas in Stockton is 100%.
So then we have 2 weddings to decide which one we're going to go to, right?
One is in November and one is in October.
And last week, you can go back and listen to the debate between the whole thing. Would that be a real possibility, you think, to, because Jess is also going to Hawaii with everybody, right?
Well, with my family.
That's been the debate too. With her sister.
If she shows up.
And her mom and her dad and Garage Boy.
Yeah.
So the question is, could you just not have Garage Boy go to Hawaii, use those points or that money that it would take, and then have him fly the wedding, and you stay here? Thoughts?
And save it? I don't know. It's like, I mean, that was a very mature thought, so thank you for sharing that with us, but like, that was a really good idea. That wouldn't even cross my mind. But I don't know.
Like, could you deal with Garage Boy? You guys, when's the last time you guys spent any time apart? Honest to God.
Oh, time apart?
Yeah. Have you been with, because I feel like you're with him almost every day. Have you gone a day without him since you lived here?
It's an unhealthy amount of how much I'm attached to that human
That's
being.
what I'm saying. Like, could you even imagine?
I mean, I could, but like, obviously, like, you know, when he goes to like a bachelor party, you know what I mean? I'm like, you know, go with the boys, you know what I mean? Go live your life. But how do you honestly feel about that? Like, when have I'm trying to think right now. When was the last time we were actually apart?
1 day apart.
Oh, when we went home for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And I wanted to stay a couple more nights at my parents' house.
Yeah.
Or just actually like staying the night there, and he wanted to stay at his dad's house. But half of the time we were like apart, and half of the time we were together. But honestly, I don't even think that counts because like we were seeing each other every single day.
So when's the last time
I didn't see him for like days at a
24
time.
hours.
I don't know.
Not since you've lived here.
No.
So a year and a half. For a year and a half, you guys have not gone.
Before we moved to Maryland, when we were still doing long distance.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But since you've lived here,
no,
you have not
gone 1 day. We've always been in the same area.
How does that make you feel?
Afraid.
Yeah. That codependency is real. When you start to be so used to somebody being there, this is how it was with my ex-wife.
But also put it in pandemic things too,
no, 100%.
because it's even more shitty.
I'm not saying your situation hasn't led you to be this way, but I'm just saying that you're so used to him being there.
And I'm not using it as an excuse. I think it's scary because I've become so. I don't have any friends here. I don't have any family here. All we do, like, we've had to become so dependent on each other.
Really quick, just on the looks on the YouTube, if you're in a marriage or a relationship, maybe marriage might be a little bit different, but we'll take it anyway. When's the last time, honestly, you went without seeing your spouse? Like, how long did it go if, like, when you didn't? Because I remember, y'all, when I was married, like, and this is the scary thing about marriage, because you can't imagine, like, you really just can't. It's not like a healthy, I can't imagine my life without him, but almost like what would I do if this person wasn't here?
And it sucks too, because like if we were like back home, like those things would be happening more often, like girls trips and like all that kind of shit, because A, the pandemic, and then B, we're just so fucking far away that it's just like it's weird, because I've never been in this situation before, ever, to where I was like literally with someone like that as often as I am with him.
In your last relationship.
Even in my last relationship, like I'd be going home, I'd be coming back, I'd be going, you know, weekends here, weekends there, same thing. You know, he'd be on surfing trips. Like, it wasn't even like a thought of that not being normal, but because this is our new normal.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Honestly, think about that for a second. How would it make you feel if Garage Boy didn't go to Hawaii?
Aside from like just because I like having him around because he legit is my best friend on the planet.
Yeah.
I think like.
Does that give you anxiety though, thinking of him not being there?
I'm going to take away also just wanting to share the experience of both of us being in Hawaii for the first time ever.
Take out Hawaii.
Because I'm gonna take
Idaho.
out. Yeah, exactly. Because it's fucking Hawaii. Like, he'd be like, bro, we stacked in Hawaii. What do you want me to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take that out of it, and like, I definitely like thinking about like just not like, I don't know. It's just it's like the normal banter, the normal routine. We take our vitamins together. We brush our teeth together. Who's gonna put on my fucking vitamins? Because I don't even know what vitamins I take. I was like, I need to take collagen. He's like, bitch, you are taking collagen. What the fuck? I lay it out for you every morning. I'm like, oh my god, thank you very much. Like, I don't. It's
Celia said that she on our YouTube show said that it was December for her birthday. It was the last time that she went, without being with her spouse. And how did that feel, Celia, when you were away? Because I do remember that feeling. Like even when my ex-wife would go away for like a weekend, I would feel so incomplete. Like things just felt so off.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not a therapist. I'm not saying one way or the other, but I will say one thing that I am really enjoying about being single and scared to lose is that independence, because I know it's so much more powerful. I make decisions by myself. I've never been able to do that before my whole entire life.
Yeah.
I've never known like what I like, what I don't like, because I've always had to filter it through the mind of, well, what does this other person think?
And I think we're also in different positions too. It's because like you got married like very, 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 very young, whereas like I'm thankful that Garage and I, at least this part and this type of codependency has kind of happened like later in our 20s. You know what I mean? It's like I can make decisions by myself. I have done that for a very long time before him. Now it's nice to like, because I trust him and I trust his opinion, to like have those conversations and confide in him. But he is supposed to go to the bachelor party for one of our friends, and he was like, you should just come to Vegas so you can hang out with Stephanie and you don't have to hang out with us, but like you can just be there, because like what are you gonna, like, you know what I mean? And so it like he suggested that to me.
I'm sure it works both ways. And I'm sure he probably feels the same way.
And I didn't even think about it that way. I wonder if he would like feel almost like peace of mind just knowing where I'm at, that I am like closer in that area.
Because you guys are so used to being together. Like the idea of him hopping on a flight without you probably seems like,
because we haven't
weird and scary.
We have not flown without the other in basically 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go through a couple of YouTube comments really quick. So Celia said it was totally fine. She said it was so fun. Because I think there comes a point, too, after you've been together for so long where you're like, please just fucking go.
Yeah.
She said, but also my husband was in the Navy, so we've done 6-month deployments, because that's different. That was a very hard, but a blip in time when I think back on it.
And very strong for that, too. At that point, you're a pro at this, girl.
Yeah. Shanye says that she's from Michigan. She visited home about a week 3 years ago. But we've been together, but since then we go together. Hang on. So she's from Michigan. Your partner's from Michigan. She visited home for about a week 3 years ago.
So when you guys are doing long distance, but now that you guys are in the same place, you've been together ever since?
Ever since.
Yeah.
Like 3 years. Your day hasn't gone by. 3 years.
Yeah.
Because
we did long distance for over 8 months.
Right.
So it's almost like we felt like we were making up for lost time for having to do that.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And I will say this too, is like because when I lived in Florida and I had like established my life first before I was married, I did have friends.
Yeah.
But then when I started moving around for radio jobs, it gets harder to make friends.
Yeah.
And you kind of just rely on your person, I don't necessarily know that's a good thing, because I think that put a whole lot more strain on our relationship, because neither of us had people to go to, Gabriella on YouTube says codependency is not a negative thing until you cannot function apart. Healthy balance is still necessary. Agreed.
Yeah.
And then Zaraya says, whether my fiance has to leave for a few days, I start thinking, what if I leave my keys inside the car house? What am I going to do without her?
I love that.
And it's true, because you just get so used to them being there.
Yeah.
But it's just something to note. I mean, I wish that I would, and I knew it. I knew I was in trouble. Like I knew that my ex-wife and I were so close that it was an unhealthy amount of codependency on each other.
Yeah.
But I think that made the uncoupling and honestly, the vulnerability of us as a couple even harder, because you can't imagine what life would even be like if that person wasn't there. Like I didn't know a life without her. I couldn't even imagine how I would function, because first off, I'd never done it.
Yeah.
But it was almost like I had to keep her happy because if she wasn't there, how would I progress? I mean, do you want to go to Vegas with him on the bachelor party and just be there?
I mean, again, because I told him, like, dude, there's no way we can afford that. Like,
okay,
no. But like, let's say
money alone.
Like, let's say we could. I would have totally been down, because then I would have gotten just to like hang out with Stephanie, and I would have just been with Stephanie and James the whole time.
But do you feel like that would have played into the codependency of the situation?
No, because literally the only time we would be together is flying there and flying back. Like, I would not see him at all at any point. I would just be with Stephanie, and I would get to be with like her, which I really wanted to, because it's like, obviously when she comes and visits us, it's going to be like the three of us, and her and I will go do things together. Yeah. But I would have loved to have that opportunity to just be with her just and like, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal eventually, like when that does happen, you know what I mean? But like, I don't feel,
I'll be curious though.
I don't feel unhealthy in any way, as far as like yes, we are codependent on each other, but like, I feel like we have a very, very, like, not just a romantic relationship, but like a very, very healthy friendship, which like, I can't see my life without him, because I know he belongs there. And it doesn't feel like in a toxic, scary way. It feels like I know that he's going to be there for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about him.
So where that ring at, though? Huh? Where that ring at?
Sometime this year.
We're getting there.
Let's figure out where we're going to live, my guy. Let's figure out some other stuff first.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break. Going to come back here in a second. I got to tell you the story that, like, because listeners hit up for advice all the time, right?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here. It's Saturday night. Picture Saturday night. I'm laying in bed. I'm watching Euphoria. And all of a sudden, I look down on my phone. And I have like a million notifications from Instagram. And they're all voice memos. And I'm like, oh, boy, here we go.
Oh, no.
And the advice they needed, man, I just don't know if this is a typical woman way of acting. But there's no way we could talk about this on the radio show. And we'll get to it right after this. We're back. If this is a normal activity, I should be having a lot more sex. But I don't know how normal this is.
Kind of depends. You don't let bitches shit in your house, so there's a lot of things you could be doing, but since you're not a good person.
Imagine if I said that.
Since
that's an unfair statement.
You're not a good person.
Imagine if I said I don't let bitches shit in my house. I would get canceled.
Well, you should have been canceled last episode. That's a fucked up thing on your part, dude. That's really fucked up. So go on.
Don't let bitches shit in your house.
Yeah.
Listen to this, okay? Because I don't know how normal this is, and we couldn't. The advice that you're going to give is absolutely not, because anyone in their right mind would give the advice of absolutely you should not do this, girl. Okay? I don't think anybody listening, watching is going to have different advice. That's not the point that we're here for. The point of why we're here, and I can never say this to this listener's face, is because I don't know.
They're listening.
I don't. Yeah, they might. I don't know. I don't know.
You know.
I don't know. Like, if this is the case, I feel like I should be banging, as Jess says, bitches. Okay? If it's this easy, then, like, where am I going wrong? Okay? Got numerous voice messages from a listener and her sister who are sitting around debating if they should do this.
Hell yeah. Okay.
They had gone to a comedy show the night before, and the warm-up act for this comedy show, this sister of the girl that was messaging me, had added him on Instagram after the set was over.
After the set, sister adds opening act on IG.
They happened to run into each other by the bathroom right after.
Sister runs into opening act after the set.
Yes. Now this, keep in mind, is the opening act. Okay, we're not to this. This ain't the headliner. This ain't the star of the show, baby. You know what I mean?
Whatever.
It's the third rung person here, but just keep it all in mind. Okay?
No, whatever. He was on the stage.
Runs into him, says, "Hey, we should meet up after." She's like, "Well, I just added you on Instagram, and why don't you just message me and we'll go from there." Guy starts messaging her on Instagram and is like, "Hey, come over after the show. Like, just come to my hotel room. Let's hang out. You know, I mean, we all know where this is going, right?"
Yeah.
So she's like, "I can't," for whatever, they couldn't. I'm trying to remember the story because the voice memos don't save. They're trying to figure out time, and she's considering obviously going to do this, and she can't make it that night. So the next day. He's like, "Hey, I've got 2 30-minute blocks. If you want to hang out, if you just want to come over and chill."
Hang out. Two 30-minute blocks?
Yeah.
What kind of shit is this? A fast pass? That's whack as hell. No, thank you.
You gotta reserve a time. Come back between.
Yeah, fuck that.
Jess, I gotta tell you the whole story. You just gotta hear the whole thing here, okay? So, she agrees to meet up with him in 30-minute block A, okay?
She agrees?
She agrees to meet, and this is, so keep in mind, this is Saturday, 30-minute block A hits. And she goes, and they hook up, okay? 30-minute block A is over, so she leaves, and she goes back to hang out with her sister.
Okay.
And homeboy, third rung act over here, starts messaging her. He's like, hey,
come back
for
part 2
and B.
Yeah.
Come back and B. You know, like I got 30 more minutes. I think maybe in between sets or something. Like, I'll be at the hotel, just come through. But when you come back this time, I want to film it. And
no!
And are you okay? Honestly.
No. Hail to the no, girl. Hail to the no.
And are you okay if I film us hooking up?
What a psychopath.
Now, keep in mind.
You're watching Euphoria. You're like,
no! Literally. I'm like freaking out because I'm like,
let him film you.
Like, I'm just like, no.
No.
Two things. Number one, like, if you're gonna hook up with somebody, don't let it be the third rung person.
Also,
like, go for the headliner. You're worthy of the headliner.
Do never, ever let a stranger film you.
Ever.
If you guys are in a serious relationship and that's your thing and that's what you're into, live your fucking life. But never, ever let some strange person film you during sexual activities because then you're gonna have another Pam and Tommy from Hulu on your hands, and everyone's gonna have your sex tape.
Let's break that down for 1 second. And before I go back to my original question that I was going to ask, can you ever imagine letting a stranger film you hooking up?
Never.
Like, there's some things, y'all. Like, Jess thinks it's weird that I invite girls to come over to my house on dates for the first one.
I think that's a terrible idea. I think it's a psychotic idea to let a stranger.
It's
come.
not great.
It's not smart.
It's not great.
It's just not smart for you.
It's not great.
No.
But I think it's even less smart for them, to be honest with you.
No, exactly. I think it's stupid on the girl, and I think it's stupid on you.
But to me, it's like it's passable. In my mind, like, it's not the most outrageous thing. But can anybody in the world ever imagine a stranger filming you have sex?
And that should be a red flag.
I mean,
because
but hey,
obviously he's doing some other shit with who knows how many people, girl, and you better go get checked.
Real talk, though, dude, girls will send me nudes like it ain't shit.
That's so dumb.
Like it ain't shit.
What if you put that somewhere?
So then I'm starting to think, like, is that really big, that much of a difference? Because at first I'm like, oh my God. But then as I'm sitting here, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, it's not, it doesn't happen every day, but it's not completely out of the...
But I think a picture is different than a video.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different.
So would you be okay? Would you think it's different than a guy taking pictures of you naked versus you sending him a naked picture?
I mean, I would never do that to a stranger, period.
But, I mean, do you feel like there's a difference between the two, or is that pretty much... Because the second I started, I'm like, wait a minute, that's basically like sending a nude, right?
I mean, low-key, but, like, how extreme it is, it's just so different. It's like it's more in depth. Like, the picture, it can be manipulated. You can blur some shit out. I'm like, I don't know who that is. That's not.
You're in control of it at that point. When it's your picture, at least you're in control.
With the video, you don't know what the fuck he's gonna do.
If they're in control of it, you don't know.
You don't know what he's gonna do with
what
the
he's
footage,
filming,
where
what's
he's
happening.
gonna put it. It's gonna end up on Pornhub somewhere.
Do you look fat? All these things you gotta think about. You know. That was a joke. So yeah, I mean, obviously, my advice was no.
Did she?
I don't think she did. I mean, I don't know. I didn't hear back.
What did her sister say? What was her sister saying?
Well, I messaged the...
Was her sister being like, this is so stupid?
I think they were drinking, obviously. But
were they down? Like, what was the
they
vibe?
were literally debating if they should do it, if the sister should do it. It wasn't like, isn't this crazy? It was like, should I go back and do this or not? I'm torn.
And film it.
Yeah. So my advice. I mean, I was watching Euphoria, so I was just trying to watch my show, but I was like, absolutely not. Don't do that. It's a terrible idea. Here's my thing, though. How normal is that to just see a stranger and then just go F that stranger that easily?
I mean, Tinder.
You think it's like, does that sound...
That's what people do on Tinder. That's what people do literally all the time, like through dating apps. Like, I feel like it's almost like it's like people just be doing that.
Because I don't be doing that.
Strangers?
If that was because here's the thing, like I'm like the lowest rung form of entertainment. I got it. But we do have people that listen to this show and listen to this podcast, right? That has never happened to me in the history of time. Has someone just hit me up and said,
well, no, not straightforward, but it's definitely been, but you've had the roundabout opportunities which end up in the way they end up. So no, it's not very like, hey, let's go have sex. Like, no, you don't get that message, but you definitely have been in situations because of the situation
but
that
my
you're in.
thing, so that
end up being that. So no,
but it's like a 17-step process. It's not like I've never had anybody come to me and just be like, hey, let's have sex. Now, again, I'm
sex
also,
for you.
yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm thinking. Like, is that how I need to act? Is that how you act out in the real world? Are you just supposed to, if someone hits you up, like, for example, someone hits me up, then like it's a slow burn. It takes a second to even like get to because we've talked about this. Like, I'm always scared someone's going to screenshot me.
Well, exactly,
or like,
but also you have to remember what this guy does. He is a comedian that is traveling on tour. He
so
doesn't
he
stay
doesn't
in
give
a certain
He's
place.
just trying to in and out.
He doesn't stay in a certain place. It doesn't matter. He doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like, he's traveling. Let's say something were to come out, he'd be on his like fourth tour date, like on the opposite side of the country.
And is that like expected, you think, out of a comedian?
No, I just think it's like,
because of his role of what he does. Is it kind of like, well, obviously that's what he's going to do. It's just try to bang whoever's at his show that night.
No, I think it's like men. I don't think it matters what your occupation is. If you're like gross and horny, it doesn't matter if you're a fucking like garbage guy or a comedian. Like, anyone can behave that way.
I'm over here like, damn, maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe,
but also, it just depends. If that's your life, that's your life. Like, I mean, if that's what you want to do. I don't think there's anything wrong that she did go and hook up with him, because that's where she is in her life and that's what she wants to do. It's her body. If you want to go hook up with somebody, go do that. Exactly.
But I'm more looking at it like the procedure of how it even got there. I'm like, damn, is that what you need to do? You just need to drop in like, hey, what's up? Like, I got 2 blocks. You coming over to fucking A? You coming over to fucking B? Like, what?
I don't know.
I'm all like, hello, hello, fair maiden. Let me take you out to 17 dinners first, and then maybe we'll consider locking of the lips. Like, it just
depends. It just depends on what you want and how you want to go about things. Truly, that's what it comes down to.
Do you think most women would be receptive if I was just like, hey, listen, I got 15 minutes to fuck on Tuesday. You want to come through or not?
The women who were down, and I don't know.
What majority of women do you think that is? Honestly.
I don't know, because it's all situational. Because this woman she's like, he's not going to be there. So if you are in that place in your life, it doesn't matter. I've been in situations where like I've hooked up with people that and how it went down, I'm not proud of, but like where I was in my life, I was making those kinds of decisions constantly, and that's where I was. So it's like it's all these types of different things. You know what I mean?
Okay, I see. Situational.
It is situational.
Do you think I should try it and just be like, what's up? Here's a block of time.
If you can handle it,
come through. You know me. I'd be way too paranoid about STDs, but
if you can handle it, and if you can handle that business getting out there of that being a thing about you.
It was a process to me that I'm like, wow, that is not how things go in my world. So I didn't know how normal that really was. Well, if anyone's got 15 minutes, you can hit me up.
Ew. You can't solicit for sex on anything that you and I are involved in. That's my number one
Slide
rule.
into the direct messages. I'll give you some time frames to choose from.
Yeah, if my name's attached to it, you're not allowed to use that. That counts for our Instagram account. I better not see none of that shit on there. Handle your business on your own platforms.
What is your social media, Jess?
At Jess Do It. Do not ask me for sex. JESSDUITT.
I'm that guy Kramer. I'll give you some time slots. I'll set up a little online form you can fill out. No? Nobody? Okay. My podcast is called Certified Mama's Boy. Also, next week, just heads up, we are going to have a Thursday episode. Our good friend and always extremely entertaining guest, Mystic Michaela, coming on the podcast. She has almost been, I think she's been 100%. On everything that's happened in my future, she's able to predict it before it happens.
Wow.
Yeah. Going back and listening to her stuff, I'm like, oh my God, literally, she predicted this job. She predicted, literally everything we do. So she'll be on the podcast Thursday episode next week. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next Thursday. Bye.
Bye.